Hello dear students, so today we will discuss about the chemical classification of matter as we have discussed the physical classification in last lecture. So physically they are classified into three states, that is solid, liquid and gas, and we have also done the interconversion of those states. Now today our focus will be on chemical classification. This is the most important part, classification of matter. In this case, matter can exist in nature in the form of chemical substances, right? So what are the various varieties of chemical substances? So we will discuss that. So this chemical classification in it further divides into two types, that is pure substances and mixtures, right? So first our focus will be on pure substances. So pure substance may be defined as a variety of matter, right? It may be number of substances, right? Variety of matter, all samples of which will have same composition. So do remember, they will have same composition, right? Such substances are called as pure substances. Or we can also say that their composition will be same, their properties will be same, right? Or the most important thing, that they are containing only one substance. They will have only one substance. So this is most important part of pure substances, right? Then pure substances, they are further classified, right? So this is the hierarchy how we will classify. This diagram shows how this matter can be classified. So chemically, pure substances and mixture. Then pure substances are further classified as elements and compounds, right? And they have further classification: metals, non-metals, semi-metals or metalloids, and compounds, inorganic and organic. So pure substances, our focus will be on these pure substances. As you can see in this, that matter is the composition uniform throughout. So as per that we will classify them as pure substances. So pure substances which contain only one kind of atoms or molecules. So the main focus should be on pure substances. Okay. So pure substances, they may be, for example, carbon dioxide, right, which contains carbon and oxygen, and these both are in fixed ratio, right? So these pure substances, they are classified into two categories now. Pure substances, they are classified as elements and compounds, right? The composition will remain same throughout in these two. Now what are elements? So elements are the pure substances because they are the part of pure substances. So elements will be called as pure substances, right? That cannot be decomposed, right, into simpler substances by chemical change. So they cannot be broken further, so by chemical change. If the species remains stable on bringing that chemical change, or it doesn't take place, so we call such substances that they contain only one kind of atoms, or we may call them as elements, right? And element may be defined as, it is a simple individual which has a definite atomic number. This is the modern definition, right? And has definite position in the periodic table. So we can also relate element as individual which has a definite atomic number and has a definite position in the periodic table, right? So as you know, there are near about 118 elements up to now. We have discussed it. 118 elements are there, right? And seven periods are there. So the last element, that will be 118, its symbol Un, an octium. This will be 118th element, right? So near about there are 118 elements which are known, and the symbols of those elements are already given. Now our focus will be on elements and its types, right? So basically elements, these are pure substances, okay, pure substances, and they cannot be decomposed, right, into simpler ones. So this is the main characteristic. Into simpler substances by chemical change. Right? So elements are pure substances that cannot be decomposed into simpler substances by chemical changes. Right? As already discussed, 118 elements, near about 118 elements are there, and those elements in periodic table, they are represented by certain symbols. Symbols are given for elements, right? For example, O is mentioned for, yes, oxygen, right? N for nitrogen. These are the elements which whose symbol is containing single alphabet, right? There might be some other examples, for example, fluorine. Now I think you remember now the names, and you have to remember according to their symbols: phosphorus, sulfur, so on. There are so many elements. Then certain elements, they may contain two alphabets, right? Two alphabets may be there. For example, calcium, Ca. So always remember, first letter has to be capital and the second one will be smaller, right? This will be calcium. In the same manner, we can write aluminium, Al. Okay, so on. There are so many metals: lithium, silicon, argon, arsenic, chlorine, etc. So many. Whenever there are two alphabets in the element, or its symbol contains two alphabets, first has to be capital, second one should be smaller. And if it contains only one alphabet, so then it has to be capital. Okay. Then next, there are certain elements in other languages, right? And they are given represented as Latin words are there, or German, right? Some elements are there. For example, for sodium, Na, we call it as sodium, right? But its symbol is totally different. It's a Latin name, and its Latin name is natrium, right? In the same manner, for gold, Au, symbol is Au, and its name is gold. But again, it's a Latin word, and its Latin name is aurum, Aurum. You have to remember these as well. Okay. In the same manner, K symbol is used for potassium, right? But again, this potassium, it's a Latin word, and its name is Kelvin. In the same manner, for iron, it will be ferrum. Again, it's a Latin word, it's iron, and it will be Ferrum. Ferrum is the term used. So on tungsten is there, whose tungsten, yes, its symbol is quite interesting, tungsten. Tungsten it's a German word and it will be called as Wolfram. Wolfram is the name. So do remember, some German and Latin words are also used as per these, right? For silver, argentum, for mercury, hydrogerium, so on. I hope it is clear to you. Elements are further classified into three categories, out of which two are important, that is metals and non-metals, right? Metals are regarded as those elements which possesses certain properties, right? Properties such as they are generally solids. Most of the metals are solids except mercury, right? Then they may be lustrous, right, in nature. They possesses high density, right? They are malleable and ductile. I think you have studied all these properties, malleable and ductile, in your previous classes, right? So these properties are there. Okay, they have generally, because they are solid, so they will have high melting and boiling points, right? So these are the properties of metals, right? Whereas what are the examples of metals? So most of, near about 80 to 80% elements, they are metals. For example, you can say sodium, right? Sodium, potassium, lithium, right? Cesium. This we have discussed in third chapter, that downwards the metallic character that goes on increasing. So as the size increases, the metallic character increases. Zinc, iron, all are metals, right? That is almost all S block elements, then D block elements and F block elements. Generally these all are metals. Okay. Then second class is non-metals, so which do not possess all these properties, right? They do not have, they may not be solids, they may not be lustrous, density is less, malleable and ductility property is missing. So they are called as non-metals, right? So non-metals are very few, okay? And non-metals, for example, carbon, right? Carbon is there, and then boron, right? Then chlorine, bromine, all these, they exist in gaseous form, chlorine and bromine. Sulfur, right? Phosphorus, all these are non-metals, okay? Then they have low melting and boiling points, they are non-lustrous. All these properties means just opposite. Basically we classify, metals are regarded as substances or elements which are electropositive. They should be electropositive. This is the main characteristic of metals. Whereas non-metals, they are electronegative. What does it mean? Means they have tendency to release electron. They will lose electron easily. Whereas these have tendency to gain that electron. Okay, so they will be electronegative. Metals electropositive and non-metals electronegative. Right, then there are certain elements which possesses properties of both, and this will be called as metalloids or semi-metals, right? For example, there is a class that is silicon. Silicon is there, which will possess both the properties, that is of metals as well as non-metals. Then germanium is there, again it's metalloid. Arsenic, antimony and tellurium, right? So these are metalloids, that means they will possess the characteristics of both metals as well as non-metals. Now next category in classification of matter or pure substances or after elements is compound. So the pure substances contain they may be classified as elements, already discussed, and compound. Now our focus will be on compounds. So compounds, what are compounds? Two or more elements combine chemically in a fixed proportion. So compound may be classified as pure substances in which two or more elements they will combine in a fixed proportion. Okay, that will be called as compound. For example, C, carbon, it exists in solid form plus oxygen in gaseous form. This is the simplest reaction, that is combustion, gives CO2. Again, CO2 is in gaseous form. Now carbon is an element, oxygen is also an element, although it contains or it exists in combined form, that is O2. Two elements of oxygen, they are combined. Okay. So whenever these are combining, carbon and oxygen, they will result in the formation of a compound. We call it as carbon dioxide. Okay. Now this carbon dioxide, as per the proportion, that is fixed proportions. So the two elements they are combining. So let us relate. For example, for this carbon, atomic mass of carbon or atomic weight, it's given in the periodic table. Atomic weight of carbon is 12 AMU, atomic mass unit, or we can write 12 U, that is unified units. Okay, we will discuss it later on. And then for oxygen, for one atom of oxygen, it's 16 AMU, but since there are two atoms of oxygen, so there will be 32 unified units or 32 AMU. Clear? Now how they are combining? So they will be combining in fixed proportion by their weight. Okay, so 12 as to 32, so it comes out to be 3 4s are 12 and 8 4s are 32. That means the ratio of their weight is 3 as to 8. Now dear students, always remember, whenever carbon is combining in 3 as to 8 ratio with oxygen, we will get only one compound, that is carbon dioxide. That's why we say that they combine in a fixed ratio by their weights. Let us take another example. For in case carbon and oxygen are combining, but now it is C plus half O2, so it will result in the formation of carbon monoxide, that poisonous gas we call. Although it's not poisonous, just it limits the oxygen quantity in body. Okay. Now in this case you can see carbon is again, it has 12 unified units, whereas oxygen will have 16 unified units by weight. So again if you relate, so it comes out to be 3 4s are 12 and 4 4s are 16. So the combination ratio is 3 as to 4 by their weight. So always this will lead to the formation of carbon monoxide. I hope it is clear to you. So that's why we use the term that they react chemically in a fixed proportion, and this fixed proportion has to be taken in terms of their atomic weights. Another example is water, and water is H2O. That means it is formed by two elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen. Both are in gaseous state, right? This water can be separated into hydrogen and oxygen by carrying out certain chemical methods or by the process of electrolysis, by passing electric current, right? So one of the property of compound is that the compound, they can be separated into its constituent elements by certain chemical processes. Okay, for example, in this case, electrolysis of water will separate hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. Or hydrogen and oxygen, they are combining to form water, and it's in liquid state. Again, if we relate their ratio, so hydrogen H2 plus half O2 will give us one molecule of water, or one compound molecule. Now do remember the difference between molecule and compound molecule. Compounds are named as also compound molecule. This was the older term. Okay. Now H2, so its atomic molecular mass will be 2 unified units for 2, and for oxygen it will be 16. So 2 unified units, so it will be 1:8 ratio. So whenever hydrogen and oxygen, they are combining in 1:8 ratio, always we will get water. And the compound which is formed, that can be decomposed into its constituent particles, right? Compounds are further classified as inorganic compounds and organic compounds. Organic compounds, this is important, they are obtained from living sources. Okay, and such compounds will be called as organic compounds. Now this organic term is applied to hydrocarbons and their derivatives. And hydrocarbons, as you know, compounds of carbon and hydrogen are called hydrocarbons, which include alkane, alkene, alkynes. Apart from that, derivatives will be when one of the hydrogen will be substituted by some other species such as halogens, haloalkanes, then alcohol if OH is there, then amines if NH2 group is there, so on. So whole of the organic chemistry comes under this, which is study of hydrocarbons and their derivatives. These compounds will be organic compounds. Whereas inorganic compounds, they are obtained from non-living sources. Non-living sources. Okay, such as rocks, minerals, etc. Okay. So this includes non-living sources, but most of the compounds, they exist as organic compounds, right? Now the last part in classification of matter are mixtures. Okay, so matter was classified depending upon the composition, right? Pure substances and mixture. Pure substances we have covered, which covered elements and compounds and their types. Now mixtures. So a mixture, what is a mixture? Mixture is a material containing two or more elements or compounds, right? Elements or compounds in any proportion. That means not in fixed proportion, whereas in case of compounds it was in fixed proportion. So this is combination of either elements or compounds. So we call that as mixture, right? And this mixture, the constituents of mixture are called as components. Okay, we call them as components. So components are present in the mixture without the loss of their identity. Identity is retained. Identity of constituent or components, that is retained, whereas in case of compounds it get lost, right? So they are further classified depending on the presence of particles or components, whether they are uniformly distributed throughout or they are not. So they are classified as heterogeneous and homogeneous. So the heterogeneous mixtures are not uniform. Heterogeneous, they are not uniform. Okay, that means the particles, once the mixture is formed, so the components, they are in two different phases, which may be more than one phase. Okay, two different phases. For example, colloids we will discuss later on. Okay, whereas homogeneous mixture, they have composition, same composition throughout, same composition of the particles throughout. That means we won't be able to identify between the two components which have constituted that mixture, right? And these mixtures, they can be easily separated into its constituents by physical method, whereas this was not possible in case of compounds, right? So we will discuss about all these later on. Okay, so this was the basic classification of matter.